Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Mr. Natural's Music School here in San Francisco, California, in the lovely Haight-Ashbury district. Welcome to my music school. Well, we've been working on ear training, and we've been focusing mostly on rhythm dictation and writing things down. So we're getting the ear training and learning to write as well. And for the last 7 weeks, we've been working on these things I call code words, which are a way to help you hear what's going on. The first thing I'd like to talk about this week is, of course, the great big gigantic mistake I made last week, just to show you how complicated things can get in your brain. Last week, the very last rhythm that I did, I got confused on because I had several things in my head. What I had written on my piece of paper, or I thought I was going to play, was tar, gator, drum. Tar, gator, drum. That's what I had written on the piece of paper. But what I actually played on the drum was tar, gator, alazan, drum. Tar, gator, alazan, drum. That's what I played. Then when I wrote down on the board what it was that I played, I wrote down tar, gator, alazan, drum. So you managed to get all three versions of that in just one microsecond. So because this is live and I am not editing this at all, mistakes go out. And honestly, frankly, in the last 6 or 7 lessons, I'm shocked I haven't made more mistakes than just that last one. So bear with us on that, okay? I'm not going to go back and edit on the video and put these little, these little, what do you call those? These little cartoon blurbs that say, oops, he's making a mistake. Now it requires editing again, and we're not going to do that because this is going out live. So I just wanted to show you what happens. This was on the paper, couldn't see it because my glasses. Wound up playing this, and then by the time I wrote it on the board, I'd forgotten what I played, and I wound up flipping these two and wound up writing that. So here you got three versions of the thing I thought I was going to do. All right, so now to explain what's been going on, for those of you who have not been keeping up with us, you can watch this today, and I don't know about getting out a pencil and paper and doing anything with it, because I'm going to be talking mostly about song forms and poetry and stuff like that, and how to use these rhythms. So there won't be that kind of ear training tonight, but I recommend that you go back to the very beginning and watch each of those videos. They're between 20 and 35 minutes long, and in a half an hour you can pick up a lot about the 2 code words I introduce, and then the following week I introduce another and another and another. And so far, this is what we have. We have 5 code words. We have the code word for quarter note called drum, drum, drum. Single syllable in 1 beat. For 2 eighth notes tied together with a single bar, we use Tarzan, Tarzan, Tarzan. 2 syllables in 1 beat. Over here we have diatonic, or we're using alligator, alligator. See, now I said diatonic, and that's what I used when I was in college, just to show you, just to show you how things change. Alligator, 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 alligator. That's 4 syllables in a single beat. And then here we have the first half of Tarzan and the last half of gator, so we call this tar, gator, tar, gator. And then the other one we have is alazan. We take the alla from alligator and the tarzan from Tarzan, and we get alazan, alazan. And so far we have used these 5 code words. Now, with just these 5 code words, I call these the basic code words because they're all a ratio of 2 to 1, and they're easy for the ear to hear. The other code words we're going to be presenting later on get a little bit trickier. So we like to get these in your noggin first, okay? Now what we're going to do tonight is show you how to write with these, or how to use them. The first thing is to talk about a thing called a cadence. In the military, they do a lot of marching, and they do a lot of marching around in the yard to get some discipline going and to get the guys breathing in sync and to get them all to work together. And so what they do is they have a march around, and they have these terms, and one of the terms that crept into music was cadence, which means we either come to a full stop and mark time, or we're just marking time and then we take off. I like to think of it this way. When we come to a full stop or complete halt, the British refer to that as a full stop. Now, if you ask a British person what a full stop means, they'll tell you it's a piece of English known as a period. When we put a period at the end of the sentence, that tells us visually that we should drop our voice at the end of the sentence. Of course, unless you're in Australia, where they're on the other side of the world and do things upside down, and their voice goes up at the end. But with most people, when they speak English, their voice drops at the end of a sentence. You can always hear the voice stop at the end of a sentence by dropping. So this is called a period. So a full stop means that we can write a rhythm that, a one measure rhythm that's completely independent, can be played by itself. You can play that rhythm and you can halt at the end of that rhythm and it won't go anywhere else. It'll stop, okay? And examples of that are, since we're using 4 beats for a measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, anytime we put here at the end a drum like that, that is the same as a period. And it will take that one measure rhythm and bring it to a halt. So it becomes completely independent. So let me give you an example. If I say Tarzan, drum, Tarzan, drum. All right, so let's look at that. And I'll clap it out. The end. Let's do it again. The end. See? Because of this. Now watch. No matter how complicated the 3 beats in front are, the end, right? Again, alligator, Tarzan, gator, drum. So even as complex as this can become, if I have that drum at the end, that becomes a one measure, completely standalone, independent rhythm. And you often use these things for bass lines. These are often used for strumming patterns. It can be strummed over and over. They're often used also, besides bass lines and strumming, they're used in a lot of rap music or hip hop music. You'll hear a bass line going on in the background. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-da-dum-bum. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-da-dum-bum. Ba-ba-bum-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. If you got that bump at the end, you can cut that off anytime at the end of that measure. Now, what happens if we want to make measures that are longer than 1 measure long? Okay, we want a rhythm that's, say, 2 measures long. Well, then what we try to do is we can still keep this here and go on and do more complicated things because you can always push through. But to really use this syntax thing, how would we create this guy a comma? And the way of creating a comma is to put anything complicated in here. So instead of putting a drum there, if I put a Tarzan there, what happens is the Tarzan makes the ear float. Or if I put in an alligator, or if I put in a targator, or a alizan. Anything more complicated than a drum becomes a comma. And what happens is the measure doesn't feel as if it's closed off. It feels as if it's opening up at the end and wants to continue on. So I'll give you really the most simple example of this. Drum, 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 Tarzan. And you expect to hear something else. Let me put alligator at the end. All right, drum. Tarzan, Tarzan. Alligator. Sounds like there should be more, right? So putting any other complicated code word other than a drum on the fourth beat automatically turns it into a comma and opens it up so you can add in more stuff. So let's take an example. What if I take something like this and I go drum, Tarzan, drum, Tarzan, 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 alligator, and then we'll put the drum there, okay? Drum, Tarzan, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan. Drum, Tarzan, drum, Tarzan, 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 alligator drum. Drum, Tarzan, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator drum. Now that two measures sounds like a complete sentence. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the end, because of the quarter note that we put here at the end, becomes a stop, a period, a full stop, as the British would call it, as opposed to a resting moment. Let's try it again. Let's try something even simpler. Now, I made it pretty simple, and you can see here, drum, 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 alligator, Tarzan, 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 drum, 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 alligator, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum. So you can see right here, we get a comma instead of a period, because this code word opens our ear up and allows us to attach more onto it, okay? So now, with this concept in mind, you can write one measure riffs which end with a drum, and then what happens is that can become something that you repeat over and over and over. For instance, in guitar strumming, they often do drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum, down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. And that becomes an independent rhythm that can be played over and over and over and over and over again. I've also seen drum, drum, Tarzan, drum, 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 Tarzan, drum, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. So guitar rhythms quite often will be very simple rhythms with a drum on the end, so that one measure can be looped over and over and over and over ad infinitum and be stopped at any moment. But when you put a Tarzan or an alligator or a targator or something more complicated there, then what happens is that creates a comma feeling, which opens up your ear and allows you to add in something else to cap it off. And we can cap it off with a drum on the end. That definitely stops it. So the drum, or the quarter note, becomes our cadence point. Now, if I want to write a rhythm that's 3 measures long, I can use this same idea. I can run drum, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, 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 drum, drum. Woo! Choo-choo train. Okay, so now I've written 3 measures here. Drum, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum, drum. See how that works? Drum, drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, 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 drum, drum. So now I have 3 measures, and this is like one big sentence, and you don't hear any hesitations or commas in the middle. So we can use this idea as a way to extend into 4 measure groupings. Now, bigger than 4 measures, I don't see that happen too often. Usually I see 2 measure, 2 measure, 2 measure, 2 measure phrasings, and then sometimes I'll see 4 measures or 1 measure independent phrasings. You don't see 3 measures, for instance. That's very rare to see. Okay, the next thing is, what else can we do with this? We know how to attach and add more stuff. We know how to period something at the end and stop it. The next thing we do is we take a rhythm, a nice independent rhythm, and we can use what we known as an isorhythm. Now in an isorhythms are used sometimes to generate entire pieces of music. The rhythm will happen over and over and over, but the notes will change, or the melodic pattern or the harmonic pattern will change, but the rhythm will remain the same. Now, really simple examples of that are twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So we have Tarzan, 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 drum. That made a nice period, allowed us to loop that, and then we attached the melody to that, and off we went to create Twinkle Star. You will notice when you're playing a lot of children's songs, particularly the simple kids songs, that you wind up with these rhythms, or like drum, drum, Tarzan, drum, you'll find a lot. Or you'll find drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, Tarzan in some music, okay? And let's take one from Bach. Bach wrote, now he wrote those pieces for Anna Magdalena, called the Anna Magdalena Songbook, and in there, there's one called the Bourriere, which was a song that Jethro Tull borrowed and put on one of his albums, became famous for, the Bourriere. It's actually in minor, not in major, and this is the rhythm he uses, Tarzan drum, Tarzan drum. And it's used exclusively through the entire A section, and then comes back in the entire B section. And it goes something like this. Bum 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 ba 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 bum. He's tying it off. Bum 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 ba ba bum bum bum. Tied it off. Bum 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 ba ba 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 bum, etc., etc. So if you were to play that song, you'll find the entire song goes like that. Meanwhile, the bass line is just going bum 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 bum, drum 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 drum. Just that simple, okay? Another example of this would be one of the code words that we have been using, the last one we used, which was targator. And then with and what he does is he starts with a tar from a Tarzan rest, and then he plays this, which is gator. So it starts like this. Gator dun, gator dun, gator dun, get it done, ba-da dum, ba-ba bum, bum bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum, bum bum, ba-ba bum, ba-da-da dum, bum bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum, ba-ba bum. Can you see it? Gator tar, gator tar, gator tar, gator drum. Gator tar, gator tar, gator tar, gator drum. Gator tar, gator tar, gator tar, gator drum. Da da da, ba da da dum, bum bum. So there's an example of using targator. Now there's one that we haven't, a code word we haven't used yet. I used to call it ergot. Ergot, but we have since, most kids don't know what that means. And so we found the word Humpty, Dumpty, Humpty, Dumpty. There was a famous comedian who took a classical piece called Humoresque and turned it into a comedy song called Hello Mother, Hello Father, Here I Am at Camp Granada, for some of those out there who remember. And it goes like this. Bum ba 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 bum. Right? Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba 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 dum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty drum 2, 3, 4. Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty Humpty Dumpty 1, 2, 3. Got it? All right. Now let's see what else we can do. Another thing that we can do is we can use a thing called song form. Now in song form, we talk about things as being a part A, and then after we play this part A, now that could be 1 measure, 2 measures, 4 measures, 8 measures, 16 measures could be part A. And then what happens is the melody changes enough, or the rhythms change enough, that we'll call something part B. And then we can change it again enough that it doesn't sound like any of the other two, and we would call it part C, etc. So what we do is we take these A, B, C's, and we put them together in various ways using basically architecture. And you'll find that this is used a lot in architecture for building buildings. So the first song form is A, A. And a good example of A would be, let's see, da 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 da. What's happening is they're taking one measure, repeating that measure, then taking another measure, repeating that measure, taking another measure, repeating that measure, and they're going A, B, B, C, C, D, D, etc., etc. Let's see, what other songs? Can't think of them off the top of my head. This is what happens when I don't take notes before.
Where have all the flowers
But
gone?
da 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 da. When will, and then they come in with a different ending, right? So there's an AA form. Another one that's very popular is A, B. You come in with a theme or an idea, and then you have another theme or idea, and then you repeat the whole thing. Now we just did one. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So twinkle star goes A, B, and then repeats the A and ends. And this is probably one of the most powerful and most common forms of the song form that's used. So again, let's try this with some simple rhythms. What if I go drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum, and then I go Tarzan, Tarzan, alligator, Tarzan, and then go drum, Tarzan, Tarzan, drum. So we have bum, 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 ba da 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 dum, bum, 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 bum. Right? Bum, 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 ba da 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 dum, bum, 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 bum. And we have what's called an A, B, A form. Now, one more way of using this that's also very common is a lot of songs, particularly if you go to the real book and look at the jazz standards, a lot of jazz standards use this form. A, B, A. And a lot of rock songs will use that form too. So I can go bum, 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 ba-da-da-da-dum, bum, 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 ba, bum, 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 bum. Or bum, 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 ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, bum, 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 bum. A, B, A. So we're using these forms just to isolate a little rhythm, call that an A section, throw in a different rhythm or a different melody, call that a B, and these are ways of mixing them together. And again, like I said, you'll find these a lot in architecture. It's quite common to find a building which is divided in half, where they'll have a doorway here on this side, and they'll have another doorway here on this side, and they'll have two big windows here, and then they'll have two big square windows here, right? AA. Or sometimes in San Francisco, we'll get buildings where they'll do a section like this, then they'll have a section that comes out, juts out, kind of like that, and then they'll put the other square there. So you'll have here regular windows and doors, and then you'll have here something special. Architecturally, they usually call a bay window. So you'll have an A, B, A. The front of my building has a storefront down here, a huge doorway entrance, and then another storefront over here. And then above, we have eight apartments. This is the doorway entrance for the 8 apartments, but here's a store and here's a storefront. So again, this is an ABA shape, and you'll see that a lot in architecture. Now, one more song form we'll talk about, and then next week what we're going to do is go back to this, go back to song forms. We're going to talk about more different kinds of ways of creating forms or shapes that you can plug stuff into, and we're going to go on there, and then we're going to start explaining duets, trios, and quads, etc. So one more, and this is one called a rondo form, which was made popular by Beethoven. A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E, A, F, E, T, C, etc. ad infinitum. So what happens here? You have a theme, something that you vary off of that. You go back to that theme, play something else new, go back to that theme, something else new, go back to that theme, something else new, go back to the first thing, something else new. And what happens is these A sections act as sort of tape that tapes and connects, connective tissue that connects each of these together. So I could have bum 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 ba da 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 bum 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 ba dum bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum bum ba da 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 dum bum 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 bia dum bum 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 bium bum 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 ba bum ba dum bum 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 ba da 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 bum bum bum. And by using a song form like this, we can stretch things out as long as we want to and still making it interesting. Now, there is just one more song form which I find interesting. A, B, C, D, E, F, E, T, C. And this is very rare, but we happen to have one that's very, very popular. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called him macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind your manner, da da da, and then the girls be handy. So what's happening in that case is they are changing the phrase, and no two phrases repeat in a song like that. Very rare to hear songs like that, very rare. So that's our lesson for this week. We're basically now going to show you how to take these rhythms and stretch them out into 1 measure, 2 measures, 4 measure, 8 measure, 16 measure gizmos, where sentences. We're going to use things like the song form or the isorhythm in order to generate. Now, the isorhythm is really good for generating melodies. If you get an isorhythm in your head and just start playing, diddling around in a scale, that's a good way to start improvising. Because you're locked into a simple rhythm, you're free to go anywhere you want with a melody, right? You can have an isomelody in which the notes of the melody are a cell that are locked into, and they change the rhythm constantly. And you can have what's called an isoharmony, which is most songs use an isoharmony. They have 4 chords that they go through, and they call that a chord progression. And then they go back and do that over and over and over and over, and they might do that 10 times through and call that an A section. And then they'll give us a different chord progression and call that the B section, and go over that and go over that and go over that, and then come back to the first one, constructing an ABA song form. So we've discussed isorhythms, we've discussed the idea of a period and a comma, or strong independent, weaker ones that are dependent on others, and then we've discussed this idea of song form and how to use song form to plug any rhythm pattern you want into it to extend it into a larger idea. So, thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and next week, as I said, we're going to go on with this concept. And then we'll get back into doing some new code words later, okay? Until then, everybody, thanks for coming to the Haight-Ashbury here and enjoying our company, and I hope you got something out of this, and we'll see you next week. Night-night.